Okay, we are live. Welcome to our YouTube live at 6:30 p.m. with Anju Kish, who's the founder of Untaboo. Let me introduce myself and Anju, and let me help you understand why are we doing this. So I'm Raki Chabria. I'm the founder of Teachers Help Teachers, and Teachers Help Teachers is one of the largest communities of educators across India, where the main aim is to help teachers grow and simplify teaching. Well, as a part of our community, we always do a lot of sessions, and we also invite thought leaders on our platform to share their views about education, as well as we try to discover what is it that, in terms of challenges, what are the challenges that are being faced by school, by teachers, wherein we can help with our own bit by bringing in experts on our panel who can share a few insights. So today's session is, as the topic suggests, is the need for sex education in school. Well, I think this topic, the more we speak about it, the more we are able to normalize it, I feel. And even though it's been spoken about, and there have been movies, which have addressed these issues in the recent past, we thought that it's best to connect with an expert on this and get some thoughts and insights. So let me introduce today's expert, Anju Kish, who's the founder of Untaboo. She is a certified sexuality educator and POXO trainer. She is an award-winning author of children's book on puberty and growing up, titled "How I Got My Belly Button." She's the global ambassador of Parenting 2.0 USA, four times TEDx speaker using the platform to untaboo sex education in India.
Raki, I don't know whether you are facing bandwidth issues or I am because you seem to be frozen for me.
Okay, are you there?
Yes, did I freeze for you? I thought you froze for me. Raki, can you hear
What did
me?
you do, Soham? Don't.
All right, so while we wait for Raki to come, maybe we could have a conversation. So the I think Raki's facing some bandwidth issue, so she'll be back soon. But talking about sex ed, I think this term sex ed can raise alarm bells in people's mind about this education for children, and people end up believing. So what would you say if I said that sex ed is important for, say, a first grader too? Raki, I'm sorry, I just took over.
Yes, yes. Sorry. I lost connect, and
Yes,
I'm back.
yes, I
Thank
could.
you so much. And yes, so as I was introducing Anju, and thank you for taking over. So let us begin our live, and let us understand, what is it that stops teachers or schools from embracing sex education. So let us begin by asking a very simple question. What is sex education in simple terms? And why is it that as educators we find it uncomfortable to talk about sex education in classroom? Is it that we need a special training for it, or is it that we are equipped with it? Yeah.
So I think first let me begin by decoding sex education and talking about the fact that how sex education is a very misleading term, because of the presence of the word sex in sex education, and this word sex gets magnified, education becomes invisible, so all you read is a big bold word sex, and it's very natural for people to presume that it is a talk on sex, and thus they reject the entire concept of sex education. We've tried to find an alternate term, but there's nothing which really does justice to the amount of things which are covered under comprehensive sexuality education, which is actually the correct term, CSE. Now, comprehensive sexuality education or sex ed, what we refer to it in short, is it, like I said, an umbrella term. So if you are talking to a little child about safe touch, unsafe touch, that is sex ed. Talking about puberty, its changes, physical, emotional, that is sex ed. Of course, talking about sex and reproduction is sex ed, but it is much more beyond that. It's not just about the physical aspects, it's about emotional aspects, social aspects, behavioral aspects. So, innumerable topics, talking about consent, talking about boundaries, talking about safety, healthy relationships, healthy breakups, changing relationship with parents, changing relationship with peers, how to tackle all of that, talking about the negative impacts of porn, talking about topics like masturbation, do's and don'ts, dating, intimacy in dating, laws around intimacy. There are hundreds and hundreds of topics. But of course, having said that, please know that sex ed is incremental learning. It's not that at day one with a 5-year old you just go and talk about everything. Just like you don't teach a little child math equations right at day one, you teach them numbers and then basic additions, subtraction, division, and then add more complicated concepts. Sex ed is exactly the same. You introduce them to new concepts, basic concepts, and then keep building on those concepts as they grow up. So do not fear this education just because of the presence of the word sex in it. Just replace the word sex with safety. View it from that lens, because sex education is actually about the safety of your child and helping them make those informed and responsible decisions. And coming to what you said, Rakhi, about why do people resist sex ed? I think one key reason is that because of the presence of this word sex. And I think secondly, it's also because most of us have grown up without any sex education. So obviously we have ifs and buts about the impact of this education or these conversations. And also we don't feel equipped to talk to our children about it. Sometimes we feel it's against our culture. Sometimes we don't know how much information is enough. At what age? What do we talk about? What will be the impact of it if I talk to my child about it? Or sometimes it is, oh, my children don't want to listen to it. They say we don't want to talk about it. So, multiple reasons why people don't end up having this conversation at home.
Yeah, absolutely correct. And while you were sharing, the n number of topics that encompasses sex education, I was just wondering. So, what it takes to equip oneself to talk about, these such topics to students? What are the skills that one needs to be equipped with, or what is the kind of information that one needs to be equipped with?
I think the first and foremost thing to do is try and understand one's biases against it. And we all have biases, whether they're conscious or unconscious. So I think it's important to delve deep and figure what are the biases I have. At times we sometimes we end up telling our kids that, hey, I'm okay with this entire gender and sexuality bit, and it is okay. But sometimes we're just doing lip service. We feel it is okay as long as it is somebody else's child. The moment it comes to my child, I'm not ready to accept it. And that comes out in the way sometimes when we speak to our friends saying that, oh, thank God my child is normal. That means you still have a bias about it. So recognize those unconscious biases that you may have about it. Once you've done that, try opening the mind blocks. That is it against our culture, really? Isn't culture ever evolving? Or if you have any other block about the impact of sex education, then go read up about it. So basically, clear any mind block that you have about sex education. Because only if you're very, very convinced about it, will you then make an effort to learn and see how you can then begin imparting this education to others. Otherwise, your biases are going to come in the way. So I think it's important to take care of that and then start empowering yourselves. And that, of course, like any other thing, you have to read up the concepts. You have to be absolutely in touch with changing concepts, what the kids are talking about, the language that they are using, because language is evolving so fast today. The concepts, awareness about concepts is evolving. What earlier pre-COVID era, what say the ninth and 10th graders asked us the kind of questions, today the same questions are being asked by fourth and fifth graders. And sometimes giving an answer about an adult concept to a child, to a young child, is extremely difficult. It's easy to explain that concept to an older child. You just give it to them as it is. But explaining it to a younger child in an age appropriate, sometimes non-sexual manner is the most difficult part of it. And that is a training I don't think anybody can teach you. It is something which just comes with practice, which comes with figuring, thinking on your feet, because the questions can just come there and you have to answer it immediately. So it's about developing that ability to think on your feet, developing that ability to be non-judgmental, to take every question at its face value and answer it as sincerely. So yeah, there are lots and lots of things to being a sex educator.
Yeah, absolutely. There are lots and lots of things before we move on into the classroom to talk about these concepts, and that's what makes me understand that no wonder educators find it little overwhelming to address the issues and the questions, as you rightly said, that prior to the pandemic, the questions that were asked by eighth graders, ninth graders are being asked by the fourth and the fifth graders, which does leave the educator in the tight spot because to address those questions as per their developmental age is a challenge, and you need to be mindful and thoughtful about what is the kind of reply you need to give without bringing into your own biases. So I think it's a
Also,
process.
yeah, but also, Rakhi, I feel that it's not necessary for teachers to become sexuality educators. Everybody has their niche. You cannot expect a physics teacher to go and teach English.
Correct.
That is not their niche. You cannot expect a biology teacher to teach math. That is not their niche. That is not their expertise. Sure, they'll be able to answer a few questions, but not necessarily everything. So, as long as teachers are open to receiving these questions without being shocked, without being judgmental, without scolding the child for it, and becoming that askable teacher, I think they would have done their job. Then it is just about, okay, if a query has come your way, how do you direct them to the right sources where they can get the information from? You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, or if you think you're not equipped to. And it's not necessary to be equipped to do it.
Wow, I love this, that it's not necessary to be equipped to, and you need to be the askable teacher. I love this because there are teachers who come to us, and they, because they are class teachers, they feel that it's their responsibility to know it all and be there and provide all the answers, to which, as you rightly said, that if it's not your niche, you can be the askable teacher, but then you can actually bring in an expert depending on the queries that are asked by the students. You can actually go back, bring in an expert, invite an expert, and address those questions. So you can actually be the
Absolutely.
mediator between the right information that needs to be imparted and the questions of the students. So very well
Absolutely.
pointed out that we
Because
don't
today,
need.
Rakhi, yeah, because today, Rakhi, if a child asks a question, I think the first thing you should do is really thank whichever God you believe in to say that the child has come to you with a question. That means the child trusts you enough to come to you with a question. And if the question has come to you, no way can we tell the child that, oh, I'm going to tell you when you're older. I think the statement of I'm going to tell you when you're older, or this is not the question, this is not something you think about at this age. These are two, three statements we should take it and flush it down the drain. Because unfortunately, today, they have, fortunately or unfortunately, they have resources they can go to at the click of a button. And we have such incidents, we have, innumerable anecdotes at Untaboo which tell us that when these questions are not answered by the teachers or by parents, the children go to the internet, and what happens then? So these are, we have to answer, give an answer to a child, however basic, but an answer needs to be given to the child. So if a teacher can just equip themselves for that, and like I said, point them to the right resources, make sure they get an answer, even if it is after a day or after a week, but make sure that the child gets the answer.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, as parents, as educators, we come across such questions where we feel, the natural response is to let them know that, yeah, we will let you know as you grow older. And there you're saying that, okay, it needs to be addressed. Otherwise, they can move on to the internet, which is available at their fingertips. So in
Right.
such a scenario, you said that even if it's a simple reply, it can help to curb the curiosity rather than, going to the wrong source, which could be the internet. So a simple question like, the early learners, they come to us and they ask us, where did I come from, how are babies formed. So those are like the simplest of the simplest questions that we get
But
from
the
early,
most difficult to answer.
and the most difficult to answer. That's what I was coming to. So in such a
Right.
scenario, what is it that is, the
The
right
appropriate
or the
answer.
appropriate answer? Yeah.
I think the first thing we need to understand that when a child comes to you with this question, they're curious, okay, how is a baby born? But in our mind, because we are adults, we have a whole lot of information about how babies are created. So in our mind, when a child asks this question, the immediate alarm bells go off that, oh my God, does this mean now I have to explain to my child the sexual act? Do I have to talk about foreplay, orgasms, the sperm entering the vagina? Do I have to give them the entire thing? Oh my God, my child is too young. And thus you brush it under the carpet. But the child doesn't want to know all of that because they have no idea about all of that. So you can start with basic, simple thing that mama has a baby bag inside of her, and there's a tiny little egg cell there, and it grows into a baby. As they grow slightly older, you can add on the information that papa has a sperm cell, and when the sperm cell and the egg cell unite through a biological process, just use big words, through a biological process, a baby is created. And as they grow, so what you've done, you've laid the foundation, you've laid the first brick, then it's easy for you to build on the brick. But if the first brick you lay is not based on facts, and you say, oh, we got you from the hospital, or the fairy put the baby inside the tummy, or the god put the baby inside, then you've started on a lie, right? And the child will then soon realize that my parents doesn't give me factual answers, there's no point going to the parent. So start with the basic and do not fear questions, honestly.
Yes.
And tell me, don't we adults make an attempt to learn new things? Uh,
Absolutely. All the
we
time.
learned
Yeah.
Instagram. Yeah, nobody knew how to use Insta. We've all learned how to use Insta, and most of us are Insta queens or kings.
Yes.
Um, Chat GPT has come. We're making an effort to learn Chat GPT. We're
Yeah.
using StreamYard for this. I'm sure we didn't know how to use it. We made an attempt. If we feel it's important, we'll make an attempt. If we feel it's important to address every query of the child, we will make an attempt to figure out how do we address that query. It's about just that little mind shift.
Yes, that's very true. It's about that little mind shift, and with this, it kind of brings me to the next question. That since you are already consulting so many schools and you're doing untaboo sessions in various schools across the country, so what has been your experience like when you talk to school leaders? How open they are, or what are the challenges that you come across?
See, I've been in this field for almost 12 years now. And initially, the first few years was very difficult. The doors were tightly shut, school doors as well as parents' doors were tightly shut. But over the years, the doors have been opening. And today, a lot of schools are open to this education. But having said that, I'll say that sex education is still not being recognized as a life skill, a skill which needs to be a mandatory part of every growing child's education, right from grade 1 to grade 12, and even college at that, or for that matter. It is still a very trigger led need. And post COVID, a lot of schools are finding behavioral changes. They're finding kids misbehaving, kids saying very inappropriate things, a lot of sexual experimentation happening, PDAs happening in school, kids going to a lot of porn sites. So a lot of these things are happening, and thus it is more a fear based need. So if I say that yes, the schools are now more open to it, I'm not sure whether they're open to it because they feel it's important or because they don't know how to tackle it, and that's why they're reaching out. I hope it's the one where they actually feel that it's important and we need to impart this education to the child. But my experience in the past 2 years has been amazing. We've worked with more than 30 schools across the country in the past 1 year itself, and we find that the schools are becoming more and more receptive. So while it may have started off as a need-based education, but now they're feeling the need and they want to do a year-on-year things. There are some schools which we go year on year for the past 6 years. We've been going every year to them, um, and and I think that we actually see the change in the children there, because when this is reiterated and made a mandatory part of their growing up, you see a beautiful change happening there. But having said that, I will also say that school face their own challenges. They don't have time in the academic calendar for anything. There's so many activities they're inundated with, so making time in the academic calendar. Sometimes budgets are a challenge, and sometimes parental objections are a challenge. But these are all issues which can be very easily tackled. And I would, in fact, urge schools to move beyond these issues and make place and time for sex education. And you will see a difference in your school environment, the very positive difference which emerges when the entire school is given this education.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure, because the fact that you're pointing out that schools have been calling you year after year, and it's been 6 years that you're catering to a particular school, which means that there is definitely a growing need, and the more it is regularized and included in the mainstream curriculum, I think the more we save the trouble of false information being imparted, and also the peer pressure that sets in at puberty. I remember yesterday when we were talking over the phone, and you did point out that to do these words, which struck me, and I was just kind of trying to understand more, that lack of information can also lead to peer pressure. And that was something which also was being addressed in the
Right.
movie, the recent movie, Oh My God.
Correct.
So it does make sense if this information is provided at an early age. And even the words that you just spoke about, consent, the fact that if you say no, it means a no. So how do you, even gender sensitivity for that matter, how all these, there's so many concepts, and
Yeah.
I don't think it can actually be covered, in like a 1 day program, or like a 1 2 hour session, online session. I don't think it is justifiable. Do you
So
think
that's
one
why
day
we
is
have a year-on-year curriculum. So at Antabu, we have from grade 1 to grade 12 curriculum. So you teach them something 1 year, you reiterate it next year, introduce them to new concepts, and you keep moving upwards like that. And like you rightly said, concepts like consent, or gender identity and sexuality. While we feel we know about it, like consent is, people really talk about consent as being no means no, but there are so many layers to consent to really understand consent in its entirety. And not understanding consent can be a problem. It can really land you in legal trouble.
Mm,
So for kids to know that is extremely crucial.
yeah,
For
yeah.
them to even know that any kind of intimacy between two consenting, say, 17-year-olds also is illegal, because according to the POXO law, a person is a minor till they're 18. So
Yeah,
knowing that what they could be possibly experimenting is illegal, and they can be in trouble if the law takes its course, so to
yeah,
say.
yeah.
So sex ed
Yeah.
is also making them aware of the laws of a lot of things, whether it's laws around porn, whether it's laws around consent. So these things are also part of sex education.
Okay, so laws are also part of sex
Absolutely,
education, and
absolutely.
that's, I think that it, I wasn't aware myself that laws are equally a part of it, which again is required for our students, especially the 8th, 9th, 10th graders to understand. So in
Absolutely.
your, yeah,
Sorry, go for it.
no, go ahead.
No, I've seen simple things like, for example, online safety is such a huge issue, right? Today,
Yeah,
kids are indulging in sexting, and kids as young as seventh and eighth graders are indulging in sexting, sending sexually explicit messages, their
yes,
nude images
yes.
to each other. Besides understanding, not understanding the repercussions of pressing that send button and putting it
Mm,
out there for it to come back and bite them anytime in the future. Besides that, they don't understand that that is also illegal. It falls under the definition of porn creation, falls under the
oh,
definition of porn distribution, falls under the under Indian Penal Code, under certain other acts. So
oh,
knowing that, knowing what is sexting, knowing what are the negatives of sexting, knowing the laws around it, when you give them this entire education is when the change happens. Just telling them do not sext is not enough. The
mm,
kids need logic. The kids need to know why. We're beyond that time when we told our kids, stop, don't do this, it's bad for you. That doesn't work anymore. We
yeah.
have
We're
to take
beyond.
them aside and give them the facts, all the
Yeah,
facts, and then let them take a decision after that.
yeah.
Let them take an informed decision, but at least give them the right information so that they can take an informed decision.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because as you said, that they are beyond just being told not to do it. They need an explanation, and that too a logical one, to understand why they shouldn't be doing it. And that makes it all the more important for schools to integrate sex education curriculum. Having said this, I would also like to understand that, I was reading, and you've written that you have gamified your platform, so your content is gamified. So why gamification for sex education? I mean, is there any purpose behind it? Any you felt that, okay, today's kids need everything gamified, so let's gamify sex education.
So before we even launched our online gamified platform, which is untaboo.online, before that only, all our programs are extremely engaging because right from day one, I figured that if I'm going to make it like a biology lesson, it's this is going to be forgotten. Biology is forgotten. It's taught, exam is given, and it's forgotten. So
True.
why not? I understand that sex ed is a very serious topic. It's a very sensitive topic. But who says that you need to teach a serious topic in a serious way? You make
Okay.
it fun, you make it engaging, you make it interactive, and you'll see how they open up, how they share, how they ask questions. And that's what the entire intention is, for them to be able to ask anything that they want to. So all our sessions, all our workshops that we do in schools or outside are very engaging. It's filled with quizzes and role plays and audio visuals, and it's been designed in that way. So when decided to move, also create an online platform, which is India's first online platform for sex education. I wanted to create, of course, an animated content and also something which is gamified. So we've launched with our puberty adventure, where puberty is treated like an adventure. Kids go on a trek to the puberty mountain and they face a lot of challenges. And each of those challenges are things they face at puberty. So there's hairy forest, there's lake menstruation, so they're crossing all these levels and understanding what all these concepts are through a video, reading text, solving puzzles, winning prizes, and ultimately they reach the peak. And then they challenge their parents for a competition to know how much parents know about puberty.
Oh, wow. This
So
seems awesome. Yeah.
yeah, so it's a way to involve parents and break the ice at home for
Yeah.
these conversations. So that's
Introducing.
how we designed the entire thing.
Wow, that's really amazing, and I'm so glad that we could host you, and I hope that through this video, educators, school leaders, they are able to understand the importance of imparting sex education in school, and they are able to reach out to the right experts, and at least conduct few workshops, if not able to integrate, at least conduct a few workshops every year with parents, with students, so that the conversation starts flowing, and there's no taboo on those conversations. I like what you said, the askable teacher. Let us become askable, so that they can come to us, so that they can trust us, and if we don't know something, we can definitely get in touch with the experts and give them the right answers. So I think this is very much needed in schools today. And before we end our today's session, I just wanted to ask you that has there been any question that has been posed by any student to you where you felt uncomfortable, or where you felt that this is a question which nobody ever has asked me in my sessions? Any particular
I
incident?
stopped being shocked and years back. I go into every session open to receiving anything which comes my way. And in fact, in the last 1 year, we find that more inappropriate comments are coming our way and from younger kids. So
Oh,
things like, and I'm going to say it out there. I know this is all live out there, but I'm still going to say it out there because it's important for parents to know this. I've
absolutely.
had sixth graders ask me that, can you remove your clothes and show us a real woman's vulva?
Oh,
I have a big penis. Will you make a baby with me?
oh,
So, these are the questions they're coming in also, along with the very genuine questions. But also know that when these question comes in, it's such a teachable moment. It's a moment to tell them what objectification is. It's a moment to teach them gender sensitivity. It's the moment to tell them about the laws. And it's a moment to tell them about boundaries, what they consider a joke that maybe, when this is read out, everybody will laugh and it will be such a laugh, explaining that fine line between what you think could be a joke and how it can land you in trouble because it falls under objectification or sexual harassment. So it's a great opportunity to tell them about it. And that's why I keep saying, do not fear questions. Even they can be as shocking as these or as inappropriate as these, but they are a teaching opportunity. So grab those questions and go out there and make a difference.
Amazing. I think this needs experience and practice over a period of time, and that's where experts like you come in, and because I'm sure that if somebody who is not equipped with the information and goes about taking on questions, I'm sure that these kind of questions can actually lead to
Throw you
repercussions.
off. Absolutely.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and 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 it won't be a teachable moment at all. So absolutely, but it's wonderful to understand how you make these awkward moments a teachable moment and go about discovering with them the other side of the story, that how it can land you in trouble and what it actually means. So you actually help them understand the behind the scenes of this comment. So
Because
that's
I
very
think, Raki, if we see, the kids who are asking these questions are not bad kids.
no,
Okay,
not
there's
at
just a whole lot of adult exposure the kids have today. Curiosity is growing, questions are growing in their mind. They see it in shows or films that you can get away with certain things, and they're testing their boundaries. They're testing that, trying to
yeah,
rattle you. They're doing all of that. So let's not judge them for what they are. Just give them the correct information, and you see the change happening. Within
yeah.
moments, you see the change happening. So conversations are powerful, and we have the tool in that hand. Let's use it.
Absolutely amazing. And as you rightly said, that yeah, they are being exposed to all these things. The media is, of course, all out there, just like internet. The
Yes.
media, OTT platforms are all not censored, so it becomes easy for them to kind of get access to those platforms and get access to those shows, as compared to prior to the
It's not
pandemic.
just OTT, Rakhi. It's very, very unfortunate, but kids today are growing up on a porn culture,
Oh, is
and
that so?
it's crazy the amount of porn viewing which is happening and happening very, very early on today. So that is what is causing a whole lot of problems. Their entire attitude about women, about relationships, about sex is being defined by what they are seeing, and
It's
we get to know
objectified.
this. Yeah, we get to know this by the statements which come our way. Kids telling us, very young kids telling us they know what sex is. And when you ask them, okay, what is sex? They say sex is when you remove, strip off a woman of her clothes, tie her, and hit her.
Oh,
Or,
really?
yes, or little kids saying that, oh, in sex, a girl compulsorily has to lick the penis of a guy. Now, this is coming from very young kids. So either they've been told this or they've watched porn, and a lot of them have admitted that they watch porn. So that is the worrying bit, that how do we stop this porn culture? And one way to stop it is by becoming the source of information which is age appropriate, giving them the answers to the questions which are arising in their mind. And doesn't mean that when you do that, they are going to stop watching porn, but at least when they watch porn, they'll know that they'll watch it with an informed mind, knowing that what they're seeing is not reality, it is real. And they
Yes,
do not have to emulate the actions that they're seeing in the porn films.
true.
And of course tell them the porn laws, about how what is the how the legality or illegality of it, and then put some fear in them about that also.
Yeah, but how can this be stopped? I mean, there's of course, when for movies, of course, we have the age restriction, but for porn sites, anybody can log in and get
Yes.
access.
So
So
absolutely, no way can you stop it, because I think India did ban some 600 odd porn
that's
sites. But in fact, kids in the workshops tell us how they navigate that and how they
VPN.
use
Yeah, they
VPN
go
to
through
even.
VPN.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
and then of course there are much more than 600 porn sites. There are like lakhs of them.
yeah, yeah,
So you cannot stop them. No way can you stop them. Whatever filters you put in, they'll go to a friend's house and they'll use it, or they have access on the phone. The only way is conversation. Tell them the reality behind porn, what they see in porn, and what is the reality. Tell them the laws around porn. Tell them about porn addiction. There are
mm,
actually 4 steps to porn addiction. Make them aware of that. Tell them the repercussions of watching porn. And once you've done that, then your job as a parent or as an educator is to teach your child the right thing. Whether they follow through or not, what they
mm,
do with that information, you cannot control.
yeah,
Even though you want to control them, you cannot control them.
yeah,
So you just keep having and reiterate those conversations. hoping that better sense will prevail, and they'll either move away from it, or even if they watch, they'll make sure that they're watching it. I don't think there's any sensible watching, but at least they'll watch it with, not try to copy those actions or not overdo it.
Mm. So important. And this is, I think, an alarming fact that I came across, that as you said, that porn sites, children are thriving on it. And
Yeah,
that's what is coming out through the queries and through the understanding of what sex is all about.
correct.
The pure true meaning of sex is actually not the act. It's actually the expression of love. And that's where I think we moved away from it, and we've kind of I don't know where are these children getting lost because of course, exposure, media, and the OTT platforms, and the non-censored content that is available at fingertips. And because of all this information, conversations really, really make a difference. And that's where we thought that having a conversation around sex education in school is the need of the hour, because the way our kids are progressing in terms of the content that is available to them, I think it is scary. And as parents, as educators, as school leaders, we all need to come together. You rightly said that we cannot stop them, but the right information at the right time will definitely make a difference. And after that, of course, what they do with that information is up to them, but at least we have done our bit of giving the right information and creating that right conducive environment for them to come and ask us those questions. So the
Right.
conversations have to start, and it's in every family that it needs to start. It's in every school that it needs to start, and every teacher needs to be okay to face these questions. Of course, you can go back, seek help, invite an expert. You can take those actions, but you need to be okay. You can't be feeling awkward. We need to embrace it. And I think that's where educators like you, experts like you, come into picture and help schools and help parents become more aware of how these conversations can happen. So
In
great.
fact, we do the entire gamut, Rakhi. We have parent talks to, remove their mind blocks. We have teacher talks to empower them, and then we have the student talks, so that the entire environment of the child is empowered to support this child. Because in schools, it can be a very fact-based, research-based conversations. At home, it can be a more value-based
Yeah,
conversation. So the child is getting a complete holistic, which is a comprehensive, factual, and values aligned sex education, because every family has their own set of values. So it's a
yeah,
complete holistic education that the child gets when all three parties are
come
in
together.
tune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also spoke about training the school staff, the non-teaching staff. So
That's
how
right.
does that come into picture? Because I just remembered now
So
that you talked about it.
yeah, so we do parent talks, we do teacher talks, student talks, of course, and we also, if the school is open to it, we also have a talk for the grade four employees. Now, the kids are surrounded by whether they're bus drivers, conductors, ayas, sweepers, and other non-teaching staff also. And it's important to even educate them, because
Mm.
they are in constant contact with the children. How do sometimes even they protect themselves? They should be
Mm.
aware of concepts. They should understand the changing boundaries of today's generation. So there are lots of things to talk to them also about. So we do those talks also. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's like a holistic program for schools and
completely.
parents and
Yes.
students together. Yes. Great. Thank you so much, Anju, for bringing in this conversation, opening up this conversation for us on our platform where we went live. And the whole objective to go live was to help the community understand how important it is to start these conversations at an early age, because no matter what, we may hide the statistics, we may hide the research reports, we may brush everything under the carpet, but it's all out there in the open. The educators are facing it, the parents are facing it, the questions are increasing. The questions that were once asked by eighth graders are being asked by fourth graders. So we are very well aware of how time has changed, how content is being available readily. So I think this is the time where we can come together and address these issues and start these conversations at an early age. And you can get in touch with Anju. And I think getting in the right expert to do the bit of talking to actually orient the community is what is the need of the hour. So thank you. And I think we do have a few questions on our YouTube channel where Anurod Chitra says that if we are imparting sex education at an early age, wouldn't it make them more curious to know more about it?
So this is a very common question we come across, but please know that these thoughts are already there in the kids' minds. It's not that if you address it, they're going to get more curious. They're already curious because of the exposure that they have. So do not ever believe that if you talk to them, you will take away their innocence or you will put thoughts in their minds which are not there. Do not confuse innocence with ignorance. Education takes away ignorance. And if the thoughts are already there, when you talk it, you're just addressing it and giving them the right information rather than them getting this information from their peers who are equally curious or more scarily from the internet. And don't we talk to our kids about, say, drugs or alcohol that don't have alcohol, why it's bad? Does that mean we are encouraging them to have alcohol or drugs? Then why apply this logic only when it comes to topics of sex ed? That, oh, if I talk to my kid about sex ed, then it'll be more curious and they'll want to experiment. So I think just remove that block. It is a block.
Well said. Yes, it is a block. And right at the beginning, you said that one needs to remove one's own biases, put it aside, and then address it so that you are in you. It's about a mindset. It's
Right.
about creating that kind of mindset to have those conversations. So well said. Thank you so much, Anju, and thank you to all our viewers for watching it. And for those of you who would be watching us later on, you can leave your comments, and if possible, I will make sure that these comments reach Anju, and if she's able to answer them, we
Happy
will
to answer
definitely
them.
we'll
Yeah.
definitely put those answers in the comment in the chat. Thank you once again, and I hope that with this conversation, reaching out to more and more people, the right action would be taken, and the community would be open towards having sex education talks and sex education sessions and orienting the community, the parents, the non-teaching staff, and everyone about loads and loads of topic that sex education encompasses. So great. Thank you once again, Anju. And
And thank you, Rathi, for taking up this topic. It's such a
our
need
pleasure.
in the hour. And thank you for picking this up, really. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's thanks to the teachers who keep writing to us about, topics that they wish to know more about, and that's what we pick up, and that's where we connect with experts, and we see to it that we create that kind of platform which is which allows a free exchange of ideas and resources, and information flows through easily from the right person so that we
Right.
take the right action. So thank you, and let's
Thank you.
hope that with this video reaching out to more and more people, we have some concrete action that will be taken. Thank you once again.
Absolutely.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Yeah.
Bye.